Hello, and welcome to International History Chapter 2.2. Let's talk about it. So, these are high tensions between nations after World War One, because everyone mad as hell. Let's talk about it. Oh, oops. Let's start with the U.S. isolationism. U.S. isolationism. Basically, the USA they wanted to be alone for now. Okay, they wanted keep their own economy and blah blah and blah blah. We'll see later how they don't necessarily stay isolated, but for the most part, they isolationism means that their economy is based off themselves. Like they don't require trade from other countries to better their own economy. This is a very popular U.S. Whew, sorry guys, this is a very popular U.S. strat, which is what they did. Um, Anyways, oops. Let's talk about Germany hyperinflation now. If you guys remember, Germany got the most $6.6 billion in reparations. I'm not sure if you guys remember last video. They had to pay a lot of money, okay? And so they had to reach $6.6 billion in reparations. They were down here, okay? German hyperinflation was insane. It was the worst inflation that like any country has had, like low key ever. Um, so they're very sad about this. Everything was terrible basically for Germany right now. Okay, let me pull up my chart here. So okay, in 1921, after World War one American dollar is equal to 90 marks. Marks is just a German currency. By November 1923. Okay, that's a 3-year difference, okay? $1 was equal to 4.2 trillion marks. 4.2 trillion mark. Like, that's, like, insane, guys. Okay, German hyperinflation, they were terrible. And, like, because what ended up happening is that since they had to pay so much in reparations, they started printing more money, which actually made money less valuable, as you could see by the insane change. So Germany was they were not good. They were pretty bad, okay? But we're gonna see how they get over that in later chapters. Let's go on to the Ruhr crisis. Now, another thing, Germany was already going through it. Now, the that's a weird word. Anyways, the Ruhr was this, let's imagine this little guy here is Germany, right? And remember how France is mad as hell, he hates Germany right now? Yeah, so France and Belgium decided to invade the Ruhr, which was the most like industrialized, most important business and economic place of Germany. And they were already going through hyperinflation, guys. So the Ruhr crisis, they lost 90% of their businesses. Terrible. They were going through it, man, because France decided to be a bum. Let's talk about Corfu incident now. Now, Corfu incident has to deal with Italy. Italy currently is going through a fascist government. Now, a fascist government is a dictatorship where the dictator, this guy, Mussolini, literally has power over the social influences of the people in the country. Like, they're not allowed, like, the media is banned, there's a lot of propaganda, they can't really say anything negative about their dictator. It's terrible, obviously. And so, like, while Mussolini was rising to power or whatever, after a League of Nations meetup, after a League of Nations meetup, you guys are gonna talk. We're gonna talk more about that later. Three Italians died, and Italy blamed it on Greece, and so they took over the islands of Corfu, which yeah. So this guy, he was like, "Hey, I'm taking this for collateral because you killed my people." Um, Now the League of Nations at the time, they were like, hey, don't do that. And so Italy went to the Council of Ambassadors instead, and they're like, hey, can I take that? And then the Council of Ambassadors agreed with Italy, and they were able to just take Corfu. Well, and Greece also had to pay them since they killed their people, supposedly. Yeah, that did not go well. That's also a weakness of the league, but we're gonna talk about that next time. Anyways, continuing with the Washington Conference. Oops. Like slightly too. Oh, 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 oh. Okay, just see my whole screen, I guess. Um, okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Anyways, so let's talk about the Washington Conference. Now, the Washington Conference was again for peace because of high tensions. They did a lot of things to try to reduce the high tensions, which doesn't work out, and World War II breaks out. But we're also talking about that later. Now, the Washington Conference has the 5-power treaty, the 4-power treaty, 9-power treaty. Now, the Washington Conference had Italy, Japan, China, Britain, France, the USA, Belgium, and so sorry, I'm trying to remember who else was in the Washington Conference. But while I try to remember that, let's talk about the 5-power treaty. Um, so so 5-power treaty was only signed because not everyone in the treaty signed everything, but the 5-power treaty was signed by the USA, Britain, France, Japan, and Italy, which was basically Japan would like limit its Chinese territory. Guys, remember open door policy where everyone was equally allowed trading rights in China? Yeah, so Japan was like, okay, guys, I'll stand down, and what's it called? And the Western powers, which is like USA, Britain, and France, said like, okay, fine, we won't make any naval bases near you. So they were less likely to get attacked, right? By the Western powers. So it was a pretty good. Oh, and they also limited the warship tonnage. Britain and the USA limited to 500 tons each. Japan to 300 not 300, I'm sorry, 200,000 and 500,000 tons, and France and Italy limited the warship tonnage to 175,000 tons each, which basically just means that they're lowering their naval base like war, right? So they're not as strong, which was good for everyone because to not heighten tensions, the countries didn't want to be that powerful, so that if they did have another war, it wouldn't be hell again. So let's talk about the 4-power treaty now. That this one was only signed by the USA, Britain, and France, Japan, which, oops, just means that they're gonna respect each other's rights in Pacific and the Far East, and to instead of fight, talk about it first, which is just an alliance between them, basically. That's it. That's a 4-power treaty. Like, okay, guys, we gotta respect each other. Now, the 9-power treaty was. Now, let's see if I remember the two last. Oh, Belgium, China, Portugal, Netherlands. Okay, that's who it is. Portugal and the Netherlands. Sorry, guys. But basically, it was like applying the open door policy in China, saying that they all have equal trading rights because they're all picking on China. Hee. Anyways. Oops. I'm sorry. I don't know if you can hear that. That's my dog. Need to take him on a walk. He's very upset about this. Now let's talk about the Rapallo Pact. Rapallo Pact was basically hell and super hell making a treaty, okay? Nobody liked Germany and nobody liked Russia, okay? Nobody liked Germany because they did the most war and damage in the war, and nobody liked the USSR because they were communist. Now, the USSR is, by the way, the name for the Russians, because it's United Soviet Pact? United Slavic Soviet? Something like that. Sorry. But it's Russia. And they were communists, and there was fear of communism because communism, one, dictatorship, two, well, the people in power wouldn't be much in power anymore if everyone was equal. So they didn't like communism. So, Russia right now is really isolated, especially after World War One. Like, when communism took over Russia, yeah, they they were very highly liked, and nobody really liked Germany at this time. So, and they didn't really like each other, but since they were both very isolated and right next to each other, well, Poland in between them, but basically next to each other for now. They were like, "Hey, want to be friends?" And Russia was like, "Sure." And yeah, so that's the Apollo Pact. While they didn't trust each other that much, they still helped improve each other's economy because Russia just had the Bolshevik Revolution, so their economy was kind of bad, and they just kind of dropped out of World War One and lost a bunch of lands to, well, Germany. And Germany was also isolated because no one liked them, and as we just learned, they had a terrible economy. So since they became friends, they ended up helping each other. People were scared of this, but it was like, whatever. What are they gonna do? Anyways, so that's it for 2.3. Hope you guys enjoyed today's lessons. Bye.